You know, some of the greatest stories in art history are hiding right there in plain sight. They live in the flicker of a brushstroke, in the gaze of a portrait, and in the quiet halls of certain galleries. Today, we're going to Rome to uncover one of those stories.
So here's the puzzle we're going to solve. In the year 1650, the legendary painter Diego Velázquez creates two absolute masterpieces. One is of the most powerful man in the Christian world. The other, a man who was, legally, his own property. So how on earth did that happen? Well, the answer is this incredible story of ambition, raw genius, and what has to be the boldest public audition in art history.
To really get this story, first we have to picture the setting. And we're not in some typical, stuffy state museum, no. We are inside a private Roman palace, the Palazzo Doria Pamphilj. It's a place that feels less like an institution and more like, well, like a conversation with the past.
Yeah, the Doria Pamphilj Gallery. And what makes it so magical is that it's a private collection. And get this, it's still owned by the exact same family that started it all centuries ago. So when you walk through its gilded halls, you're not just looking at history, you're literally stepping through a family's living memory.
And man, what a memory it is. This palace is just dripping with masterpieces. We're talking Caravaggio, Titian, Bernini, the heavy hitters. The palace itself is a work of art, a stunning Baroque space that was designed for one purpose, to completely overwhelm you with a show of unbelievable power, wealth, and culture. It is the perfect stage for our story.
So, into this world of immense power and art walks our main character. It's 1649, and the celebrated Spanish court painter Diego Velázquez is in Rome. Now, he was on an official mission for the King of Spain, but he also had his own ambitions. He was aiming for the most prestigious commission an artist could ever dream of getting.
And that commission involved two men who could not be more different. On one hand, you have Pope Innocent X, born Giovanni Battista Pamphilj. He's the head of the Papal States, Velázquez's ultimate target. On the other hand, you have Juan de Pareja. He was Velázquez's assistant, a painter himself, but he was also, by law, Velázquez's slave, the powerful and the powerless.
And the result was these two portraits, painted in the same city, in the same year, by the same artist. The Pope just radiates authority and this shrewd intelligence. And then you look at Juan de Pareja, and he exudes this quiet, powerful dignity. Now, the incredible part of this story, the real heart of it, is how the portrait of Pareja led directly to the portrait of the Pope.
So you have to understand, Velázquez couldn't just walk in and ask to paint the Pope. Not a chance. The art world in Rome was fiercely competitive. He had to prove his genius. He needed to make a statement, to create a buzz so loud and undeniable that the Pope himself would have to take notice. In other words, he needed an audition piece. And here's how he did it. It's just brilliant. First, just to warm up, as a kind of technical exercise, he paints his assistant, Juan de Pareja. But he doesn't just keep it in his studio. According to the story, he then had Pareja himself walk around holding the finished portrait to show it to some Roman friends. The likeness was so startling, it created an immediate sensation. And that buzz got the painting included in a huge annual art exhibition at the Pantheon. And that public exhibition at the Pantheon, that's where this story truly ignites. When the Roman art world saw the portrait of Juan de Pareja, the reaction was just immediate and explosive.
This reaction is captured in one amazing quote from his fellow painters. Imagine them, looking at a wall of masterpieces. And they said that while all the other paintings were art, Velázquez's portrait of Pareja was something else. It was truth. It felt so lifelike, so immediate, that it just transcended being a painting and became reality itself.
And the impact was huge. The portrait caused a sensational effect. People reacted with what was described at the time as admiration and amazement. And it wasn't just talk. As a direct result of all the acclaim, Velázquez was elected to the prestigious Academy of St. Luke, Rome's official guild for painters. His audition had been a massive success.
I mean, just look at the technique here. From a distance, it looks completely real. But you get up close, and it's this flurry of bold, almost free-looking brushstrokes. This was Velázquez's genius. He could combine the spontaneity of a sketch with the precision of a finished masterpiece. He wasn't just capturing a likeness, he was capturing the feeling of life itself in paint.
And of course, the plan worked. The Pope took notice. The practice portrait had secured the ultimate prize, the commission to paint Pope Innocent X himself.
And this was the result, a painting that many critics, even today, call the single greatest portrait ever made. At the time, one contemporary called it the amazement of Rome. Every artist was copying it, and everyone looked at it like it was a miracle.
What made it so miraculous was its unflinching realism. See, Velázquez didn't paint some flat, idealized symbol of the papacy. He painted the man, shrewd, intelligent, wary, complex. You can feel the mind working behind those eyes. He captured the Pope's psychological depth with an honesty that was both shocking and revolutionary.
And this brings us right back to where we started. This monumental work of art, this psychological masterpiece, it hangs today in the Doria Pamphilj Gallery. It's not just a famous painting in a museum. It's a portrait of Giovanni Battista Pamphilj, a family ancestor, hanging in his own family's palace, a living piece of that living archive.
So in the end, we're left with this incredible link. Two portraits that are forever tied together, telling one complete story about art, about ambition, and about what it means to truly see another human being.
When you put them side by side, the whole story clicks into place. One was just a technical exercise, the other was the prestigious commission. One subject was an artist's assistant, the other was the Pope. But one became this incredible testament to human dignity, while the other became a symbol of psychological power. And crucially, the portrait of Juan de Pareja is what made the portrait of Innocent X possible. They're incomplete without each other.
And that leaves us with a final thought to take away from all this. Velázquez proved his genius by painting his assistant with such truth and dignity that it astounded the world. So what does it truly mean for art and for us when a portrait painted for practice of a man with no social power carries all the humanity, all the genius, and all the revolutionary force of a portrait of the most powerful man on earth?